It's a big-time fight, and if Jack Della looks the way he did last weekend, it's very, very intriguing fight because we've never seen Islam Makhachev fight up at 170 pounds. We've never seen it.
Islam up at 170 to me is exciting. I know what everyone's going to say. Oh my God, the best fight you could have made in MMA was Ilya versus Islam. I'm not denying it. I'm not in any way asking you.
Okay, so the best advice is to be able to walk around with that weight. The big cut going to 155 is bad. But Makhachev's, I'm going to tell you, somebody was telling me, who do you think's a better wrestler? Was it Makhachev or was it Khabib? And I think Makhachev is a better grappler, honestly.
Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss major fight news and analysis. Now let's get into it. Tony Ferguson believes that Islam Makhachev moving up to 170 is a huge step. At the same time, Ilia Topuria is making the jump from 145 to 155 to face Charles Oliveira. Tony noted that there always needs to be someone who steps up and goes after the belt. Islam, who has defended his lightweight title 4 times while always making weight, has shown true discipline. According to Tony, the decision to move up isn't just about fighting bigger guys. It's about legacy. He sees Islam following in the footsteps of his cousin Khabib, aiming to dominate a second division and leave something meaningful behind in the sport.
There's a big lightweight title fight the end of June, UFC 317, for a vacant title because Islam...
Oh my gosh, okay, so you have Islam Makhachev that went up north, right, to 170, and then you have Ilia Topuria from 45, he's gonna go up to 55 to fight who?
Charles Oliveira.
Chuck, okay. I mean, look, when it goes into it, you have to have somebody fucking fight the belt. I mean, Makhachev fought how many times at 55?
He defended it 4 times.
That's much more, you know what I mean? And he made weight, you know what I mean? So, I mean, when it goes into it and you have that, I think that's a smart move. When you go up, you're gonna try to build legacy. You're gonna do certain things like that. And he's gonna run like his cousin.
Tony also addressed the debate on whether Khabib is the lightweight GOAT or if Islam has surpassed him. He admitted that he doesn't really follow the sport like everyone else anymore. When he was competing, whether in MMA or football, he was locked in on performing and helping others rise. For Tony, every fighter has their own reason for doing what they do, and that makes comparisons tricky. He also recalled how he and Khabib were actually set to coach opposite each other on The Ultimate Fighter. Everything had been signed, but the show never happened. That was around the same period when Khabib didn't corner his cousin, so clearly some serious personal issues were going on behind the scenes. Tony said he's never the type to wish bad on anyone. He just supports fighters chasing their own legacies.
They always have that lightweight GOAT debate. You know, is Khabib the GOAT? Do you think that Islam has surpassed him?
I'm going to be real. I really haven't paid attention. Like, I don't watch this sport, not like a lot of other people do. When I was in it, that's like even for football, and like we have championship rings and championship belts. I'm just so damn busy, like just competing in the sport and making sure that the next generation is going to do the right thing. And it's fucking awesome. So when it goes into who's a better fighter, I mean, each fighter's their own. I can't say one's better than the other. I think to each person, they have a certain purpose why they fight and why they win. And I think that's completely different in Khabib's case. You know, matter of fact, Khabib and I, we were supposed to coach against each other in The Ultimate Fighter, and everything was signed. I don't know if anybody knows that, but that was around the time that him and his cousin, he didn't corner him in that fight. So he had some pretty big stuff that was going on. So, I mean, who knows with certain things, but you never wish bad luck for people, but just keep building the legacies, I guess.
Then came some insight from Charles Oliveira, who said it's a hard matchup to predict. He explained that Jack Della Maddalena doesn't go for early finishes. He breaks fighters down gradually, which is exactly what he did in the Bilal fight. Charles thinks Islam will do well at welterweight, especially with more strength and his focus on grappling. But if Jack sticks to his usual style, striking clean, staying mobile, and outworking his opponent, it could be a close one. However, if Islam is able to close the distance and secure takedowns, the fight might go in a totally different direction.
O que você acha que ganha entre o Jack Della Maddalena e o Islam?
Maddalena, ele é um jogo muito complicado, porque ele é um cara que... Ele não vem pra te nocaute rápido, ele vem pra te ele vem te magoando, né?
Aos poucos, né?
Aos poucos. Foi o que ele fez agora na luta contra o Bilal. Só que eu acho que o Islam vai se dar muito bem nessa categoria, né, mano? Agora vai estar muito mais forte, é um jogo que, tipo, ele gosta de agarrar e botar pra baixo. Eu acho que o Jack Maddalena fazia a mesma luta que ele fez, né? Agora contra o Bilal, batendo, movimentando, saindo, machucando, é uma luta, mas se deixar o Islam agarrar e botar pra baixo, é o time.
Renato Moicano chimed in too, saying the odds should be even. While Islam has always been a big lightweight and a strong grappler, Moving to welterweight is a whole different thing. Moicano said Islam will need time to build power and bulk for the new division, which is why he thinks this fight should be considered a 50-50 contest.
So, Islam versus JDM.
I think they probably should be even, because even though Islam is a good grappler, he's big for 155. He's moving to 170. We never know, I think he needs to take some time to work to gain weight, to gain power, to gain strength. So that's why the odds are even, and I think they should be even.
Tony Ferguson also gave advice based on experience. He said fighters should walk around closer to their fight weight. The drop to 155 is brutal. He shared a story from Dubai where he cut from about 170 to 164.5 and pushed too hard. He skipped the IV, wasn't monitoring himself, and ended up really sick. Tony emphasized that when no one's tracking your weight and you're constantly going up and down, it becomes hard to not only maintain weight, but to recover properly afterward.
But you also fought at 170. So how do you think Islam will do when he fights JDM for that 170 belt?
Okay, so the best advice is to be able to walk around at that weight. The big cut going to 155 is bad. I mean, if you're able to, because even mine when I went to Dubai, I cut from 70 something to 64 and a half. I overdid it, wasn't paying attention. I should have took an IV. I was sick of shit. If you're not having somebody monitor your weight and you're doing that and you're fluctuating, you're going to develop a harder time to keep that weight and put more weight on after it.
Tony was also asked who he thought was the better wrestler between Makhachev and Khabib. He said that in his honest opinion, Islam is the better grappler. He feels Islam is quicker, stronger, and moves more fluidly. While Khabib was obviously dominant, Tony said he fought a bit more cautiously compared to Islam's freestyle approach. He believes Islam will do just fine at 170, thanks to his wrestling base and ability to adapt fast.
But Makhachev, I'm going to tell you, somebody was telling me, who do you think's a better wrestler? Was it Makhachev or was it Khabib? And I think Makhachev is a better grappler, honestly. I think he's a little bit faster. I think with Khabib, I think he's just a little bit more, not timid of the freestyle that Makhachev presents, but I think Makhachev, he's not going to do so bad at 170. I think he'll be all right.
Stephen Thompson had a few words about the move as well. He acknowledged Islam's grappling and strength, but pointed out that a lot of welterweights cut down from 205 pounds. That's a big size difference. While Jack Della Maddalena may not tower over Islam, Wonderboy noted that the welterweight division is a different beast altogether when it comes to power and physicality. He added that Jack has already gone up against strong wrestlers like Bilal, so this won't be a walk in the park. He said he's genuinely intrigued and hopes the UFC makes the fight happen.
I don't know, man. When you're going up to the welterweight division, those are some big boys. And I know Islam Makhachev walks around fairly heavy, but a lot of these 170s, they walk around real heavy. I'm talking about, over 205, 210 to the 215. Some of the guys that I've faced would walk around at that weight. I think the height, I think they might be the same height. I think JD might be a little taller, but when it comes to those guys and their strength, Islam, I think, is going to have a tough time. Now, do I think he could get it done? Yes. I think he's that good of a grappler. But like I said, JDM has faced some of the best welterweight grapplers and wrestlers in the division. Bilal being one of them. I think it's going to be a tough night for him. I would like to see Islam fight Topuria. That's just me. I would love to see that fight happen. But if he comes up, we'll see what the UFC gets behind. And we all know you got to convince the UFC to make it happen. And you do that first by getting on Twitter, shouting it out, and get people talking about it. And that's what Islam did. So we'll see if that fight happens with JDM.
Daniel Cormier gave a breakdown of the potential Islam versus Jack fight, calling it a massive matchup with serious implications. If Jack keeps his momentum going, the storyline becomes even more compelling. Cormier respects Islam's grappling and strength, but questioned how well those attributes will carry over against someone with Jack's frame. He also noted that there were rumors Islam might be cutting weight for a fight during International Fight Week, which made him wonder if he's had enough time to properly bulk for welterweight.
It's a big-time fight, and if Jack Della looks the way he did last weekend, it's very, very intriguing fight because we've never seen Islam Makhachev fight up at 170 pounds. We've never seen it. We've never seen him have to compete up 15 more pounds. Yes, he is a big dude, but in terms of full-on stature, is he big as Jack Della Maddalena is? And also, if he thought he may fight International Fight Week, how small had he gotten? And how much time does he have to put the weight back on the right way before he moves up to 170.
Cormier also explained that what makes this fight so appealing isn't just the techniques involved, it's the story. Jack Della Maddalena just became the welterweight champ after a hard-fought win against Belal Muhammad. Now, he might face Islam Makhachev, one of the most dominant lightweight champions of all time. It's champion versus champion, but with the added twist of a weight class jump. He believes that while the technical aspects will be important, it's the storylines, stakes, and unpredictability that make this such a compelling fight right now.
A lot of questions. But it's a big-time fight, and we'll get into the X's and O's as we get closer. But right now, we're talking the story. We're talking about a guy that just beat Belal Muhammad to become champion, now getting challenged by a 155-pound champion.
Navajo Sterling is very direct in his opinion. He said JDM would dominate Islam. So much so that any future talk of Islam versus Ilia Topuria would lose steam. Sterling believes Jack's size and surgical striking, especially in that mid-range area, would cause real problems for Islam. He pointed out that in this matchup, Islam wouldn't have the size advantage that he's had in some of his past fights.
You picked JDM to win. Now he's got a big challenge in his first title defense against Islam. Do you think he's got what it takes to beat an Islam Makhachev in his first defense?
People are going to say it's a wild take, but I reckon JDM smokes Islam. Shins him so bad. It's going to be so bad that the Topuria Islam thing will just be gone.
So you think Islam's wrestling won't be a threat to JDM just because he's a lot bigger?
He's a lot bigger, and when you watch JDM, you put him on the end of mid-range, he's just going to throw. That's hard to shoot in on. He's not going to be able to just abuse his size against him either. I think Islam's in for a rude awakening.
Luke Thomas also praised Jack Della Maddalena's striking in his last fight, saying it was clearly a step above Belal's, but he didn't ignore the flaws. Jack made some defensive errors and risky takedown attempts that could cost him. Against someone like Islam, who capitalizes on the smallest mistakes, those moments could be dangerous.
You knew the striking prowess of JDM, if he could just have enough time to get it going, would be enough. I think Muhammad somewhat overperformed relative to expectations, but in the end, JDM was better. But the defensive lapses, to me, I know we have to focus on how good JDM is as a striker, but what could have cost him here was the incompleteness of his defense. And to me, he took a quantum leap forward today in showing how good that was. Now, again, trying to turn that defense into offense by trying to go for some of those ill-advised takedowns, especially in the fifth, and then you're getting kind of lateral dropped for it. You do that against Islam, and I think that's a huge mistake. Islam just doesn't make a lot of mistakes, right? He doesn't necessarily have, at times, always the flashiest offense. I mean, he does have very good offense. We're talking about the pound-for-pound #1 guy in the sport. But what really defines him is that he makes very, very good decisions.
Thomas said he's excited to see Islam take the leap to welterweight. Although a potential Islam versus Ilia Topuria matchup would be electric, he's more intrigued by how Islam handles the step up to 170. He understands it's not an easy move, and success isn't guaranteed, but the opportunity to become a two-division champion is too big to ignore.
Islam up at 170 to me is exciting. I know what everyone's going to say. Oh my God, the best fight you could have made in MMA was Ilia versus Islam. I'm not denying it. I'm not in any way asking you to feel differently about what was the best fight that could be made. But here's what I am trying to tell you. Islam up at 170 could be something really special. It could fizzle too, but I'm trying to point out the positives. It could be really special. For him to become a double champ could be a very big deal.
Thomas also mentioned that even though Islam might face Jack next, a fight with Ilia is still possible later. Even if Islam doesn't win at 170, he can always return to lightweight and fight Ilia. Thomas pointed to Islam's history, facing Volkanovski twice, as proof that he's always willing to take major risks to test himself.
Just because you're going to get, it looks like, Makhachev and JDM next, doesn't mean you actually can't get Makhachev and Ilia at some point. It could be he goes up against JDM and maybe he doesn't get his ass kicked, but maybe he just kind of loses and you're like, oh, all right. Then you go back to 55 and you can see what's up after that. So it's not even a case that you can't get it. But my point is, Islam at 170, if he gives us 3 or maybe even 4 of those, is a treat as far as I'm concerned. Like him vying for double champ status, he's earned it. He gave Volkanovski 2 cracks. He accepted one of those on short notice, and I know it was like shorter notice for Volkanovski, but nevertheless, accepting to fight Alexander Volkanovski on very, very short notice is still risky no matter who you are and no matter how much prep. And he gave him both of those. He did one of those fights in Volkanovski's home country. He's earned it. He's earned it. He's absolutely earned it.
Javier Mendez gave insight from inside Islam's camp, saying he isn't sure if Jack would be Islam's toughest test yet, but he made it clear that Islam wants the fight. He believes Islam's skill set and work ethic are at a level Jack hasn't experienced before. Mendez said that if the fight goes ahead, fans will see Islam at his absolute peak. He also added that moving up to welterweight makes sense physically. Islam will no longer be undersized and will bring genuine strength and skill to the new division.
It's hard to say. It's hard to say if he's a harder challenge. I just know Islam wants this one. So for me, that's the challenge I want, and it's the challenge that I know Islam's going to be, supreme over, because I just know his skill set. I know what he brings to the table, and he brings an incredible work ethic along with skill set in every area. So, Islam is a whole different animal than the Jack's ever been involved with. So if that fight does materialize, we're going to see a hell of a fight, and you're going to see Islam perform at an absolute incredible level. And also, the weight is not super big for him either. So he's going to be a fairly decent welterweight. So Islam won't be a small guy. He'll be a decent welterweight if that fight materializes.
Henry Cejudo had a bold prediction. He said Islam would beat Jack and become a two-division champion. He called it the natural next move in Islam's rise. But Kamaru Usman sees things differently. He backed Jack to win, citing his calmness under pressure and complete skill set as reasons why he could hold on to the title. Both Cejudo and Usman agreed on one thing. The fight is likely set for October in Abu Dhabi. That means the Islam versus Ilia Topuria discussion is on hold. Islam tweeted, "Keep it shiny. Keep it nice for me." JDM fired back, "Yeah, come get it. Keep my belt clean." The back and forth has started. The fight's in motion. October, Abu Dhabi. It's on.
I think Islam Makhachev is going to beat him. I think he's going to become the 11th double champ in UFC history.
Islam tweeted, "Keep it shiny, keep it nice for me." JDM, it was kind of like the perfect comeback. He was just like, yeah, come get it.
Keep my belt clean. Okay, so the talking has begun, dude. That fight is set. That fight's going to take place in October, Abu Dhabi. I think we all know that. We're no longer going to get Ilia versus Islam Makhachev just now.
That's it for today's breakdown. What do you think? Can Islam Makhachev become a two-division champion? Or will Jack Della Maddalena defend his throne? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more fight news and updates.